this so that parents that were unable to attend are still able to get all of this very valuable information. So hopefully that's okay with you all, and just wanted to at least make you aware that that is happening so that all of our families can get this information. So we are, as you've heard the word, unprecedented time. So we are venturing on a whole new phase of schooling. Beginning Wednesday, March 17th, we will begin that hybrid model. And for those of you that have decided to stay virtual, it's still another phase of school for the 2020-2021 school year. So I welcome you all this evening for all of this information. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm excited to be able to share this with you. Chancey teachers and staff have worked diligently to plan for this, and so I just want to make you all aware that these plans are very intentional. They are very lots of thought have gone into them. We have followed all of the CDC guidelines. They have been approved by the health department, KDE, and all the official people that, you know, look at these plans. They were submitted in October and have been revised ever since. And so please rest assured that these are plans that have been very thoroughly looked at. And then even the past 4 weeks, I've gone through with my assistant superintendent to really think through these plans in greater detail. And so just know, family members, that we have really worked hard to make sure that this is the safest way we can bring kids back to school in the event of this pandemic. So welcome, and we'll give you all some of the details. Ms. Burton? So a day in the life of a Chancey Cardinal, we're going to sort of go through what it will look like for kids that are in school, in-person school, but then also for kids that are going to remain virtually being taught. In-person school, because it's different, we'll go through that in greater detail, and I ask that you hold all of your questions until the end so that we can answer them. We do have some Chancey teachers and staff on hand that will kind of help us pick out some of the questions in the chat. If you all aren't comfortable asking your questions, they will alert me. Mr. Cahill and Ms. Burton will also alert me if there's a question that we need to ask, okay? So when your child arrives at school on the bus, they will go through the front doors. We will begin taking children as early as 8:30. There will be staff on hand to make sure that they are well supervised. And when they first get there, there will be a temperature check. If your child has a temperature of 100.4 or higher, we will put them aside, because a lot of times what happens is when you're in a closed setting, your temperature can be elevated. And so we'll take it again after 10 minutes to make sure that it's not a true fever or the elevated temperature as a result of something like being in a closed area. I don't know if you all have done that, but if you're in the car, when we had to get vaccinated and we were in our cars, they made us roll down our windows and make sure we cool down before they give us the vaccination, because we did have to make sure we didn't have a temperature or fever prior to getting vaccinated. So we'll do the same thing with kids. That's also following CDC guidelines and KDE's guidelines. Upon arrival, children will also receive some hand sanitizer. We'll make sure that we sanitize them several times throughout the day, and then wash hands as well. So you'll see this or hear this a lot in this presentation. We will also check to make sure they have the appropriate PPE materials or personal protective equipment, so that they have on their mask and they're wearing it correctly. We will also make sure that they are social distance throughout the day. That is just the arrival from the bus. Now, one thing we didn't say in this, or we haven't mentioned, is that we also have to, family members, check for bus tags to make sure they're assigned to the right bus, make sure they have on backpacks, make sure that we do all the things that we normally did in the normal school year so that children get back home to you properly. I don't want you to get the wrong kid. After they get off the bus and we have properly screened them, they will get breakfast, which is set up in the hallway. There will be a kiosk set up by Nutrition Services. It's considered a grab and go breakfast. So boys and girls will grab that breakfast off the kiosk. We may give them more hand sanitizer if we've noticed they've touched anything or it's just necessary before they grab anything off the kiosk. And then they will go to their classrooms where adults will monitor and supervise them in the classroom. That's beginning again at 8:30 in the morning. If they're a car rider, I don't know if you're familiar with the car rider lines, but you'll pull into our parking lot in the car rider line, and When you are at the park or near the gym doors, someone will take a temperature of for your child. And if the child has a temperature there again of over 100.4, we will ask you to pull up, probably put your windows down so your child can cool off. And then if the temperature goes down, we'll go ahead and bring them into the classroom. But that is one of the major ways we'll screen kids, is just determine whether or not they have a fever. Students will then enter through the gym doors, and they will get their breakfast right in the gym doors or right outside the gym hallway area. They'll grab their breakfast, and then they will go straight into the classroom, just like your bus riders. And then for walkers or late arrivals, they'll do the same thing. The walkers will actually go through the front of the building with bus riders. Late arrivals will come in through the front of the building as well. They'll ring the bell. Typically, someone is still outside waiting for them. We'll do the same screening practice we've done with everyone else. Make sure there isn't a temperature. Make sure they have the appropriate PPE materials on, and make sure that they continue to socially distance throughout their as they enter the building and go throughout the building. Breakfast, I mentioned, is a grab and go breakfast. So they'll pick that up off the kiosk, and they will take it to the classroom, where they will make sure that they will sanitize their hands before eating the breakfast. We have custodial staff that will help clean up their things after breakfast. They can take their masks off, obviously, to eat, and that's the only time. Then they'll put their masks back on. Parents and guardians are not allowed to enter the building, unfortunately, during this time. And so we're going to go into that more in some detail later on. This is here, and I just want to mention that a lot of times, especially the first weeks of school, parents want to be on the premises. They want to go in the building. They want to walk kindergartners to their classroom. At this point, the buildings are still considered closed, and they're not able to do that. Ms. Burton, do you mind telling us what classrooms will look like?
All right, absolutely. When I tell you, parents, our teachers have been working so hard to get these classrooms together, to make sure that they are safe and that students have plenty of room. They really have been rock stars in this whole process of just trying to make all this happen. Your child's teaching assignments have already been made, and so your teachers will be reaching out to you this week so that they can just talk to you, introduce themselves to you. You get to know who they are. Some of your students will not have a change in a teaching assignment or in a teacher, but some may. So they will be reaching out to you this week, and some may have already done that. All classrooms have had all the optional furniture removed. All rugs have been removed so that we can ensure that we have plenty of space and social distancing occurring. Tables have been removed, so desks are in all of our classrooms so that students have their own individualized space. And those desks have been arranged to accommodate the 6 feet or greater guidance that's been set forth. And with this hybrid model now, we really feel like we're able to do that a lot better, because we won't have as many students in the classroom on a given day. Seating charts will also be used across all of our environments throughout the school, but that will just help us with contact tracing. All of our classrooms or students will be facing the front of the classrooms. Any transitions that we have been limited. Our schedule's pretty tight, and so we won't see students in and around the building as we typically would, because we want to eliminate any kind of hallway congestion. Our classroom teachers all have their handy, and I meant to bring, I have one right here. Their handy dandy PPE kits. So every teacher has one of those in their classroom, and it is full of hand sanitizer, masks, gloves, all of the important stuff that they'll need to ensure safety in the classroom. Each classroom will be cleaned by our custodial staff throughout the day, and restroom breaks are scheduled as well.
Ms. Burton, I do just want to add, though, that I don't know how many of you have followed the school board meetings, but there were lots of questions as to whether or not we would have the appropriate custodial staff on hand. We have total four custodians that have been, their shift or their hours have been changed so that they're in the building throughout the day. They'll work from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. so that they have an ample amount of time to clean throughout the day and help us clean, continue to disinfect between things. So kids will spill with eating breakfast in the morning. Well, the custodians are available to help us out with cleaning some of that up, but then They will also be here in the evening. So once children are gone, they can still do the deep cleaning or the really cleaning, a lot of the cleaning that they would normally do in the evening. So just wanted to make that clear.
All right, moving on to lunch. So students will be eating lunch in the cafeteria, and we have a supervision schedule created for that. So there will be staff members who are monitoring and just helping students as needed. Students will be socially distanced, so there will be 2 seats in between the student and in between all students. Our staff members will walk the students to and from the cafeteria just to ensure that they're following those social distancing guidelines. Students will be expected to wash their hands and sanitize before they eat lunch and then even after they eat lunch. And our teachers are doing a really good job already having those discussions with kids about the proper way to wear a mask and how you remove your mask when you're eating and drinking. And they'll do more of that once we're back in the building. And of course, we'll have plenty of PPE in the cafeteria and in classrooms if that's needed. There will be breaks between classes. So our schedule, our AIC, Kelly Milburn has done a great job creating a schedule that's strategically aligned so that custodial staff will have plenty of time to sanitize tables and chairs in between classes coming in and eating. And then, of course, we have decals on the floor just to, again, help with that social distancing for lunch. Anything to add for that? All right. Our common areas. So playground, students will still be allowed to use the playground, but we've created a schedule that just eliminates so many classes being out at once. So certain classes will be assigned common areas. We have 3 main zones or areas within our school. So we have our playground area outside, our Chansey Lake area, and then the blacktop. So classes will rotate and use and play or have recess in those different zones throughout the day. And then, of course, hand sanitizer will be used before students enter the playground and then after they leave as well. Our office, again, like Ms. Ivory talked about earlier, visitors are just not allowed in the building at this time. If for some reason you need to come up to the building or you need to pick up a student early or something like that, we'll ask you to pull in front of the circle in the front of the building and call into the office. And then if you are needing to sign out a student, we will bring a clipboard out to you and you will sign it out while you're still outside or in your car. We are strongly discouraging you or are encouraging you not to pick up any students early. If you can eliminate that, try to do schedule doctor's appointments on days off or spring break or anything like that. It just makes this whole transition a lot easier and smoother for us and for the student. So again, like I said, for our hallways, we have our floor decals and signage that's all throughout the building. When possible, we've designated our doors for one-way entry and exit. And then our high-touch areas will be sanitized frequently. And now with us having 4 custodians in the building, it really helps us to be able to make sure we have that or that's being done throughout the day. So, any thoughts on that? All right.
If you don't mind, I'm going to jump in. For anyone that English is not their first language, maybe you speak Spanish at home, we do have our ESL teachers and bilingual instructional assistants that are on here as well. Hopefully, if you don't know how to use the chat, how do I explain this? It is at the top of your Google Meet. It looks like a little message icon. If you hover over it, it says chat with everyone. Miss Suttis, raise your hand, Miss Suttis, or say something very quickly so people know who you are. Miss Mendez is on here. Miss Mendez, I can't see you. Raise your hand so people can see you. But if you are a Spanish-speaking family, they are actually typing in the chat some of the things that you may need to know that we're probably very quickly going through. I do want to take a moment to pause because I know they're on here and they're having to translate.
They're doing amazing.
Oh, right. We also have Miss Mead on as well. She is our primary ESL teacher as well. Raise your hand, Miss Mead. Thank you.
Miss Mendez, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
I was just going to kind of quickly translate what you said in Spanish. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Si alguno de los padres que está con nosotros en esta noche necesita hacer una pregunta, puede decirla en voz alta o la puede hacer por el medio del chat y yo, la maestra de inglés o alguno de nuestros asistentes que hablan español le contestaremos. Gracias. All right, that's it.
Gracias. Sí. That's about all I know. Mr. Cahill, are you going to go over dismissal?
Yes, ma'am. So dismissal, just like arrival and everything else during the school day, is going to be highly structured. So students are going to be called to their bus to dismiss. We're going to call the buses over the intercom, individual buses. They'll wait in their classrooms until their bus is called so that we can, again, limit those hallway contacts. And then social distancing will be followed and staff will be assigned to help facilitate the bus loading. And then students are going to sit in an assigned seat on the bus. Again, that helps with social contact tracing. And then masks are required when they're on the bus and also throughout the building. And then the same for car riders and walkers. We're going to sit students in the gym according to their car rider number to ensure social distancing and to help, again, with contact tracing. Students will wait in their assigned areas until their car number is called. All students will be seated facing the same direction and spaced apart. Staff members will actively supervise that area, and masks will be required while they're in their car rider gym area. And then walkers will exit out the walker door like normal. And then we do have, 2 designations, a sick room and a health room. So Chancey has a designated sick room for students that have displayed COVID-19 symptoms. It's kind of more of an isolation room. Like if you go to your doctor's office, they kind of have a sick waiting room and a well waiting room. But we also have our normal day-to-day health room needs, which will be in the office, like if a student needs to take medication or a breathing treatment or something like that. So we also will have a nurse at Chancey per a schedule. They will help monitor sick children and assist with any medical needs at Chancey. And then students and staffs that are in the sick room will practice social distancing by maintaining a distance of 6 feet when possible and continuing to wear their PPE, their mask. Chancey's health room, again, like what I said earlier, is going to be in the office where it was, and that's for non-COVID related treatments. Just things, again, like nebulizer or using their peak meters will be administered in the front office like it has normally been. Reasonable accommodate. Well, okay.
Sorry.
It just says reasonable accommodations for 504s and IEPs will be implemented according to their plan. So major things that are on people's plans are not having to change as long as they're with CDC guidelines. And medication will still be dispensed in the front office. And then so the sick room, kind of the isolation room, if a child does have that temperature during the day of over 100.4, that's one of the major indicators of needing to go down to the room. They will rest for 10 minutes. And well, this is more for, I think, if they're coming in to the building while taking their temperature. If they had a hat or a hood on, we would have them remove that. And of course, we would have considerations for personal and cultural religious beliefs before making those requests. But then we would recheck all temperatures. There's kind of always a double check, temperature check, just to make sure that it is a true reading of 100.4 or over. But then if a child does go homesick, a recommendation will be made for follow-up with a healthcare provider, but family may opt not to do so. In that case, the child can return after symptoms are improving and the child is fever-free for 24 hours with no fever-reducing medications.
Mr. Cahill and Miss Ivory and Miss Burton, I know the chat is going really fast because we are translating as you go, but there was a question that I just saw. Miles Miller asks, I have a question about kindergarten students. Since parents cannot attend, is there a waiver we can sign to get pictures of our children to help us parents with this exciting transition?
I saw that question and I was almost going to say, hey, Mr. Miller, I so appreciate your question because I know you're super excited and this is a really cool time. I will 100%, and I know there are some kindergarten teachers on here, they want to be a part of this exciting transition as well. And I can only imagine Miss James and Miss Reynolds, or Ms. Walker's on here, several others that are already thinking about ways that they are going to include you in on some of these pictures and other things. So absolutely, I don't want to steal their thunder, but I'll let them they will probably surprise you with something really cool. So stay tuned, okay? James and Walker, don't make them like cry about it, all right? They're going to be so excited and teary-eyed. Don't make it too much for them. And there was another question. I want to kind of finish some of this before we answer other questions. So thank you for your questions. If you just give us a moment, we're almost done with the presentation part, and I would love to answer your questions. But I saw that, Dad, that pulled at my heartstrings as well. I know you're ready to get some pictures of your babies. All right, Mr. Cahill, are you all done with the sick room?
Well, I'm just going to read through this slide to make sure we've covered all the material. So just to finish this part out, in the event that it is determined that a child has COVID-19, it will be immediately communicated to the building principal, who will be responsible for notifying the health department. Procedures and protocols will be followed upon notification of a positive result. Plant operator and custodial staff will clean and disinfect the sick room as needed at specific times throughout the day.
Thank you. And then so now we've shared all of this with you for in-person children, and for those of you that have children that will remain virtual, nothing has really changed, or nothing will really change. The biggest difference, or the biggest change that you all will experience, is that you may change teachers, because a lot of teachers will come back in person, but some teachers are staying virtual, whether they're in person in the building or they're just virtually working from home. They will still remain virtual, and so that may be your biggest change. But in an effort to make sure that this transition is still smooth, our homeroom teachers, your virtual homeroom teachers, and I'll use Ms. Nip as an example. She's a first grade teacher that will be virtual, but she will see your kids Monday, and Nip, you're going to correct me because we've talked about this, but Monday, Tuesday, she will even see her regular homeroom kids on Wednesday. They will come back to her on Wednesday when it's the district mandated asynchronous day, so that the custodians can do a deep cleaning of the building, and then again on Thursday, Friday. And so even though some of those days are asynchronous, what will be consistent will be a weekly morning meeting with all of your homeroom teachers that you've had since August. It was really important to the teachers that they maintain that connection. They maintain that community that they've built. Believe it or not, even in a virtual setting, they have fallen in love with your babies, and it is their class, it is their community. And so it kind of saddened them that we had to make some of these changes, but one way to give the kids a sense of normalcy is to provide them that opportunity. School-wide, K through 5, they will have that virtual meeting on Wednesday where they have a morning meeting. They talk with their teachers, kind of just touch base, but then they will go back and do their asynchronous work. So for virtual instruction, it will look the same as it has always looked. We will continue to provide gifted and talented ECE, advanced placement, and ESL supports. GMT teachers will teach our virtual students. Google Classroom will be used as the instructional platform. Many of you have become very Google savvy now. Look at you all. They're all smiling like, yes, we all know Google better than we ever did before. Google Meets will be used for live instruction. Food services will continue to be offered for families who chose to be virtual. So Chancey will continue to be a food site. I believe the days have changed, and I need to double check with nutrition services, but we will still offer food through our nutrition services. Students will have access to. I'm sorry?
Can I say something about food services real quick?
Sure.
I was just going to say they are going to be offered on the 24th at different high and middle schools, and then on Saturdays, not at Chancey, but for virtual students on Saturdays.
Okay.
Check the Monday message for more information on that.
Thank you, Ms. Case. Ms. Case is our FRC. Thanks, Ms. Case, for sharing that. And then students who chose the virtual learning option are recommended to remain in it through the conclusion of the semester to avoid further interruptions to learning. It's quite confusing to go back and forth, and more than anything, I want to make sure that we are adequately ready for the changes, mostly transportation. That is probably the biggest concern, and we have to make sure that we would have bus routes available, and that does take some time. And so it just makes most sense that if you've chosen virtual, you remain virtual. Ms. Burton, do you mind? Thank you. You're going over technology.
Yes. So as a school, we've decided our kindergarten through third grade students will not need to bring their Chromebook to school. It's 2 days out of the week, so they can leave those Chromebooks at home because they'll need them the other 3 days when they're at home doing some of the digital work, virtual work. But our fourth and fifth grade students will need to bring their Chromebooks back and forth to school. Parents, I know some of you have probably purchased Chromebooks of your own for your child. So if you don't feel comfortable letting them bring that back and forth, we do have a few in the classrooms that the teachers will be able to loan out to the students to use while they're here in the building. But I just ask that those of you who have borrowed one or using one from Chancey and you're bringing it back and forth, just make sure we keep it protected. All of them need to be kept protected. I know our kindergarten teachers had a good idea of like wrapping them with a towel or having some sort of case that you can put around it or put it inside of. So if you are bringing Chromebooks, fourth and fifth grade students, that's tomorrow, but our kindergarten through second grade teachers won't need them. And also, if you are having any issues with any Chromebooks that you have borrowed from Chancey, we can still help you with those needs. Our IT department for the district will still be supporting our families. And then of course we will too. So if you're having some issues or chargers not working or something like that, continue to call us like you all have been doing, and we can support you in that way. All right.
And then school, oh, sorry, is that UK Hill? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, school supplies. So students will need a backpack. You know, we use those for those bus tags that are very important. Please don't change backpacks once we put that tag on there, because that is our identification for how they get to and from school, and it helps us keep everybody safe. Chromebooks for fourth and fifth grade only. Chancey's going to provide lots of other things. The normal day-to-day school supplies that they would use in the classroom will be provided in the school. We're also going to get water bottles for students so they can use pencil pouch, crayons, paper pencil, again, all the things that they would need for the school day we will have here.
And I will just add to that, Mr. Cahill, if they need a backpack, Ms. Case, do you not have backpacks for kids that may not have one?
Oh, most definitely. If you need a backpack, just shoot me an email. I'll put that in the chat.
Sure. Thank you. And if they send a kid to school without a backpack, we'll grab one for their first day so that we make sure they are appropriately tagged and get home safely. Thank you. All right. Now I have to put my glasses on. Are you ready, families? This is tricky. This is not woo-sa, woo-sa. Okay. Sorry. It is not. And Miss Burton, can you make that any bigger?
Oh, thanks.
Let's see. I have my screens up too. So families, on Wednesday, March 17th, that is our first day for in-person learning. And I'm going to read this verbatim just because I'll be honest with you, there's been lots of confusion and conversation. This particular slide came directly from JCPS's website, and I don't want to confuse you. So I'm going to read it slowly so we can all think it through, okay? I'm telling you it's tricky. Wednesday, March 17th is kindergarten through second grade students in Group A. That means they have a last name starting with A through the letter K. Kindergarten through second grade students receiving special ed services are also permitted or allowed to come to school beginning Wednesday, March 17th. Have you written that down? So raise your hand if you have a last name that begins with A through K.
See a
I'm
few.
I. So I would go, if I had a kindergarten through second grade student, that's everyone on here, you will start school on Wednesday, March 17th. Thumbs up if we got that. I see some thumbs up. Yay. Now on Thursday and Friday, Thursday, March 18th and Friday, March 19th, kindergarten through fifth grade students in group B. That means you have a last name L through Z. And elementary students receiving special education services or ECE. You begin school and will go to school on Wednesday, March 18th, and I'm sorry, oh God, see, I knew I would do that. Thursday, Miss Mead, I'm sorry, Thursday, March 18th and Friday, March 19th. I'll repeat that. If you're a kindergarten through fifth grade student in group B, that means last names L through Z, and an ECE student, you will go to school on Thursday, March 18th and Friday, March 19th. How did I do, Miss Mead? Raise your hand if your last name is L through Z. Few hands up. Okay, that means you will attend school beginning Thursday, March 18th. Now, on Monday, oh, let me go back. I apologize. If you are a group A person, you will attend or have asynchronous assignments on Thursday, March 18th and Friday, March 19th. Does that make sense? You will not be in-person school, but you will have asynchronous assignments to complete on Thursday and Friday that week. Okay? And then beginning Monday, March 22nd, that's when it really all happens. That's when all of this gets, we begin some sense of normalcy. And I use that word loosely because nothing has been normal in over a year. But what we're attempting to to have happen or make normal is Monday, March 22nd. It's kindergarten through fifth grade is group A students. And again, that's last names A through K. And then elementary students receiving ECE services. And then that's when early childhood begins on Monday and Tuesday, March 22nd and March 23rd. And then Wednesday, March 24th begins that asynchronous day for all kids. Everyone in JCP, well, elementary, will attend or have asynchronous learning. That's when you will get to see your homeroom teachers that you've seen all year. You go back and visit them, but it will be virtual. And you will have asynchronous assignments. And then Thursday and Friday, March 25th and 26th, that's when Group B students and ECE students will be back in school, in-person school.
Miss Ivory, real quick, there was a couple of questions.
Sure.
I think one, it said, just to clarify, ECE students can go next Wednesday and Friday. Yes, that is what the card says. I will also point out, families, I have a first grader, and JCPS has sent this information out through a very large postcard. I received mine today, so I would look for that also in your mail. And I put mine on my refrigerator. And then somebody had asked, why is just K through second going on March 17th?
That was a board decision. That was the board decision in collaboration with JCPS. They don't ask Tiaka Ivory these questions. I apologize. They don't always want my answers, but it was a board decision and we're going to go with it. I completely understand. There were some, I will tell you though, there was a lot of pressure from state officials that wanted us back in school. And so we want to make sure that we're complying with state regulations as well as what the board has decided. So to answer that question, it was just a JCPS school board and central office decision.
I had a question. I think it may have gotten lost in between some others. And this is in relation to ECE children who will be remaining virtual. What precautions are being taken to make sure that these children aren't lost, like during this transition? To put that in perspective, my child receives speech and special ed services every day. He will most likely have 3 different teachers, which is exceptionally bad in his case. but I don't feel like it's safe, for him to return to school at this time. So, I mean, was there any special consideration given to make sure? It kind of seems like those kids are being penalized because they are not going to school. And I'm not sure that it would even be beneficial for him to attend like morning meeting with his old teacher, because she's his old teacher now, and now he has to meet a new teacher and 2 other new teachers, and it's a bunch of new teachers.
Ms.
Yes.
Allen, I would say that we're going to keep as many of his teachers the same that we can. So I would expect to hear from your students' teachers. Where we had to change the teacher was because we had no other choice. But I would think, if I'm thinking correctly, some of his teachers are going to stay the same.
They will remain the same. His
Yeah,
ECE teachers will remain the same. The only teacher that is changing, he's going to go from Miss Brooks to Miss Nip. Miss Nip is on here, but she'll be reaching out to you very soon. But he will still stay with Miss Kramer and Miss Lance for both ECE and speech services.
Oh, that is great. Miss Kramer said that she was trying, to keep him, but I wasn't sure, what the outcome was. And
sure, yeah. And I would say too, Miss Allen, if you have any other like requests or needs, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll do whatever we can. That's for every parent. If you have specific concerns, please reach out to us so that we can do whatever we can to make accommodations through this transition.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh,
sure.
you're welcome.
Miss Allen, you know how to reach out to us, correct? You have our numbers or our email addresses?
I can get them from the website.
Yes, ma'am. Feel free anytime. Were there any other questions that we may have missed in the chat? If not, while you all look through that, Ms. Burton, were you going to talk about some tips?
Yes, this is just something that the district had sent out, and I just thought it was super helpful. Just tips to help your child transition back to school, because we all know that this is a lot. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for us as adults and also for the students. So anything we can do to help minimize their angst and overwhelm, we need to do that. It just offers tips like reestablishing your routines and start having those conversations about what it's going to look like now that they're going back to school, setting a bedtime because your kids are anything like mine. They've stayed up probably longer than they need to. So it's going to be an adjustment, waking up early and having enough stamina to make it through the entire school day. Normalize wearing masks. And that's probably something that they're used to because we've been wearing masks now for over a year. So just getting them to wear it for longer periods of time would be a fun little activity to do. Challenge them at home to see how long they can keep it on without taking it off or something. And then just keeping communication open, helping your child to cope if they're feeling overwhelmed or nervous or worried, listening to them and helping them feel like everything's okay. And then if you need help or you're worried about your child, call Mr. Cahill because he's amazing and he will talk to your student. Call any of us. Like he said earlier, we are all here to help you. Talk to your child's teacher. They will be here to help and support you. We are all in this together. It's a board right outside the front of our building that says that, and we mean that. Within our school community and then also with our families, we are all in this together and we'll get through it. So I just thought that was helpful. And then I just stuck this in here. Miss Ivory sent our weekly newsletter out today, and it included a video in there that some of the staff and I just kind of got together and created just to give you a better glimpse of what it'll look like on a day-to-day basis, because we've done a lot of talking, but this will give you a visual of what that looks like for your students as they enter the building. So feel free to watch that on your own time.
I'm going to, Ms. Burton. Are you doing it now?
Nope.
I'm going to, let me answer a couple of these questions. One parent asked if they can use, if their child cannot use hand sanitizer for medical purposes. We'll just make arrangements for them to wash their hands more regularly. If you have something that they can use in lieu of hand sanitizer, please let me know. And we will just make sure that we have something on hand for them. But Ms. Evans, we can also have some separate time or extra time for them to wash hands as opposed to using hand sanitizer. Someone else asked Ms. Burton about if you can go to the slide with the school supply list. We are not requesting that you provide anything. We are actually going to provide it for you. So every child will get a water bottle. I think it was Miss Mallory, and Miss Mallory, I always forget to say how to say your last name. A pencil pouch, crayons, pencils, paper, and folders. The water bottle, another parent asked if they can bring their own. Absolutely. You can bring whatever you like on that list, but certainly if you do not have one, we have one. The district has supplied us with new water bottle dispensers so that you don't have to use. And when you think about it now, water fountains are kind of gross. So we're not using water fountains. There's a water bottle filler station that we're going to use to make sure that kids aren't putting their mouths on things and pass around yucky germs, whether they're COVID or not. Hope I answered those questions. And if there's anything else.
There was one question about when will we get our car rider numbers? And I think I know, but
guess what? That's happening Tuesday, March, what day is that?
16th, March 16th.
March 16th will be a very special drive-through for you to pick up your car rider numbers. If you're unable to make it at that time, you can certainly pull in on the first day of school if you're an A through K person or an ECE person. Come in on that day and pick up your car rider tags in the morning. We'll also pass them out then in case you can't make it. Miss Bruce has a question.
Yeah, it was too much to write out. I just wanted to ask real quick. So I've got a kindergarten, 3rd grade, and 5th grade. So Reagan would essentially be going by herself on Wednesday. Is it possible for me to just let her start on Monday? Because I also work for a JCPS school. I have my kids going to my mother's house. And so is it okay for her not to start on Wednesday because she would be by herself? Can she just start on the 22nd with everybody, or would that be an issue?
I think that sounds acceptable.
It would just be too much for me to just keep her home and the back and forth. My mom is keeping them and she lives all the way on the other side of town, because it would just be too much back and forth. So I just think for me, it would be best if I just let her start on Monday with her sisters as opposed to her going by herself on that Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sure. Any other questions?
Just tacking on to that, because I'm kind of in the same situation, whereas I have James, he's in 5th grade, Bria's in 1st. Is there like a special note that we need to email to someone about this, or how would that work for attendance purposes?
They will. Unfortunately, they'll be marked absent because they're not in attendance. And when we are beginning the in-person learning, they will have to be physically in person. And so anyone that does not begin school on the start date or their assigned date, they will be marked absent.
Okay, thank you.
But they can start on that Monday, the 22nd, because you're both A through K, but unfortunately, they'll be marked absent. Were there any other questions? There were some in the chat.
Is it possible that I will give my child his own lunch because he's very picky? Breakfast or yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Still bring their.
Yes, they can bring their own lunch.
Oh, okay, thank you.
What time can students be dropped off in the morning? That can begin at 8:30 in the morning. So whether they're a bus rider or a car rider, we will begin accepting students at 8:30. That has not changed, whether we're in COVID or not. We will begin supervising kids at 8:30. I need a copy of the allergy form, Miss Mallory. Yes, that will be passed out at the drive-through. So we're making a special packet so that you can pick up any school forms that have not been turned in, and we'll give you the necessary school forms as well, including allergy and asthma and all that good stuff in the Ohio Valley. Any other, I can't tell if there's other questions, there's lots.
Can I ask a follow-up about that, Miss Ivory, really quickly, just in case anybody else has like an allergy? If I get the form on Tuesday, I won't have enough time for the pediatrician to sign off for it before they come in on Wednesday. Should I just be prepared to send them meals like on until you guys can get that going with food services?
So Miss Tracy is our health person. She is on here as well, and she says all health documents are available online. Does that answer your question? But I think your question was really more so about, did you say, can you prepare meals for those days?
No, I just wondered if I should prepare those, but it would be awesome if she could post that link perhaps, because there's so many pages on JCPS's page. If she could post that in the chat, that would be awesome.
Okay. She's on her way. Trace, can you do that? Thank you. She's on it. The drive-through is from 10 to 1. Thank you, Ms. Zapp.
Somebody else had asked about finding a bus. I'm going to put the link to the bus finder. Oh, somebody just did it. Thank you, Ms. Givens. Awesome. So if you click on that bus finder link, it asks you to put in your street address and all that, and then it should tell you what you need to know. Thank you, Ms. Givens.
If they have medical documents from last year, do we need to have those filled out again this year? That's for Ms. Evans. Oh, can you see that?
Sure. Hey there. If they are health conditions like asthma, allergy, those kind of things, they have to be filled out new every year.
Okay.
If they're health documents like immunization, physicals, and those things, once they're on file, you're good to go. And if you don't have it, you've received lots of love letters.
Okay, now run back and put that thing in the chat.
Miss Monday, was your hand up? Were you wanting to ask a question, please?
Oh,
I think you're muted, Miss Monday. If you click the microphone, it will turn your microphone on. It's right next to the little phone.
There we go.
Yay.
Yay. So sorry about that. Yes, I've actually been by the school a couple of times. When I saw vehicles, but a sign that said the bell wasn't working, I've called. That first day of school, there are documents that I'm required to provide. Can I send those with my child? And also, I have made notes about a Wednesday meeting, but I can't read the rest of my writing. Can you help me out with that?
Sure. Let me answer your first question, Ms. Monday, or address that. Fortunately and unfortunately, because of COVID, we've been doing a lot of construction.
No, it's all good.
In the building. And so, yes, the doorbell has not been working, but you are more than welcome to bring those documents to
Bingo.
School on the first day. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
And I think it's working now.
Yes, it is.
And the Wednesday meeting thing, I made a note, but I don't remember why.
Okay, let me jog your memory. So the Wednesday meeting thing, what grade is your child in?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten. And so our virtual teachers for kindergarten, are they virtual or in person?
Miss James has been, and she's going back to school.
Okay.
Let's go to school.
And is your child going back to school?
Yeah.
Okay, so Miss James will then see your child also virtually on Wednesday morning, along with all of his or her other classmates that they've been together since August. So you'll follow those same links and everything else you normally do. Perfect. But then after that, they will do their asynchronous work, meaning they will do their work on their own, whatever assignments that Miss James and the kindergarten teachers have assigned.
What do you mean they'll do it on their own? They still do it on their own on the computer though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what she means.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But there won't be a live lesson like it has been all the time.
I think that'll be fabulous.
Okay.
She's
and Miss Monday, I know you've been working. I know, Miss Monday, you've been working, and I've been talking to your husband.
Yeah.
So I'll be happy to help you with. I know. Don't panic. It's fine, and I'll be happy to help you later on. Okay. Don't worry. And just put those papers in Amanda's folder, and I'll get them out. No worries.
Oh, we should chat later. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Dojo me. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Miss Ashley.
Amanda, baby, go. Go.
All righty.
No,
I can't tell if there aren't. Okay. Well, thank you so much for asking those questions.
We're good.
there's a few other questions. It only tells you when it will pick you up in the AM. You have some questions about the bus is what I'm assuming here. They don't typically tell you when the drop-off time is because they can't quite predict that. Because of traffic, because of routes and things, they will not give you a drop-off time. They'll give you a window of time for well, really, they don't even give you a window. It changes. They're not going to give you a drop-off time right now, unfortunately.
And normally the first few days, even maybe that first week or two, I would kind of have patience because it can be variable until they kind of get it all laid out.
And we're talking about transportation. Can I just throw out there that parents, if possible, if you can keep your students on the same transportation schedule, if they're a bus rider, let them be bus riders. If they're going to be a car rider, let them stay as car riders, because sometimes when you have to change, doing that quite a bit can get kind of confusing and, tricky for our students. So if you can try to keep students on the same transportation routine, that would help us out tremendously. And the students, it would help them too. I saw, somebody answered that. What time is dismissal? 3:45.
So there were some raised hands and I can't see everyone on here. Lots of raised hands. Mm-hmm. So Beckett Hobbs, it looks like, has a raised hand. Mr. Hobbs, what's your question? Is he still there, or did we answer the question? Okay. Ms. Palega, did we answer your question?
No, my question, and someone just asked about CEP as well. So I know that CEP is not operating at Chansey, and we had to sign the kids up at a different location at Stouffer. I think that's the right place to sign them up. I just wondered if you guys know anything about how that transportation works. Also, like the forms I have to fill out, I have to choose like bus rider or car rider, and I'm like, well, it's not either of those things. So I don't know, I don't know how to fill out the form. I also have no idea what to tell my kids about riding from one school to another.
Sure, and that's a great question. They will end up on a bus. When you use Bus Finder, you can put in their drop-off location, which is a daycare, and you would just put in CP, and they'll give you a bus number. If you have questions about that, you can also call. That would be a Blanken Baker bus compound question. The number is in the chat. It looks like it's 485-3470. Mm-hmm. Okay, the Stouffer bus number is for CEP is what?
1710.
1710?
And we call it the lemon bus.
Okay, so bus 1710 is the bus that your child will take from Chansey to Stouffer Elementary for CEP. Great question.
There have been several questions about special area. We are going to have special area still at school.
And then Mr. Hobbs said that they need to change transportation. Miss Tina is our secretary and she is fantastic. If you want to share with, shoot her an email or any one of us and we can help you with changing the transportation. Do you have a follow-up question, Miss Palega? Or was that an old thing?
Yeah, that was before. I'm good. Thank you so much.
Got it. I'm gonna put, I think she Tina.White too. Tina White too. I don't know. Email me. I know my email address. And I can help get that information for you. If we have answered all the questions, Ms. Burton, do you want to play your video?
I have a quick question, Ms. Ivory.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Armani rides a split bus.
Yes.
Like he goes from daycare.
I will just drive him home. Just forget it. We already know.
A repeat of last year.
I know
I didn't know how it would work for Friday because the bus list that they sent me out is just for daycare and he goes from home on Friday.
Yes, ma'am. And I don't want to confuse you with that. What we do for that situation is we give you 2 different tags, if you recall.
Yes.
I think he rode the orange bus one day and then
And
maybe
the
like
berry
the
bus.
lemon or berry bus
Berry
another
bus,
day.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The orange bus is no longer a bus for us, but he will still probably have 2 different bus tags, and we'll work that out. Miss Tina's the one who will kind of manage all of that. If you have put that in the, if you've let her know that, Miss Burton, will you write that down? We'll double check that Miss, that Armani
Myers.
Thank you, Miles, his transportation, and I'll have Tina call you.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Or I'll drop him off.
Yeah.
Got it.
Any other questions? All righty, Miss Burton, you want to play it?
Yes, and parents, if you've already seen this video, like I said, it was in our weekly news. Please don't feel like you need to stick around and rewatch it again. If you don't have any other questions, you're more than welcome to go. But I will go ahead and show this for those of you who have not seen that video and would like to watch it, maybe.
Miss Burton narrated. It's really cute.
No.
But it's informative.
So excited to welcome our Chansey Cardinals back into the building. Trust me, we have missed having their joyful energy all throughout our building. This video will hopefully give you a little peek at some of the health and safety precautions that we have put in place in preparation for our upcoming return to school. As the district would say, this is our new way forward. So let's start with arrival. As students exit the bus, they will be greeted by one of our fantastic staff members, and they will be asked to stand on the designated markings that are placed on the ground. We will ask students to wait there patiently until it is their turn to be screened. As you can see, this student's temperature is higher than 100.4. When this happens, a staff member will monitor that student and retake their temperature after about 10 minutes.
Caleb, good morning. Can you put that mask up and over the top of your nose? Yes, ma'am. Fantastic. Oh, you're wonderful. Head on in. Good morning, Miss Milford.
Masks are mandatory for anyone who enters the building. So upon arrival, if a student does not have one will be given to them by a staff member.
Oh, I know. Well, welcome. Good morning. Thank you. Have a great. Good morning. Welcome back. We're going to ask you to lower your window. Hi, Miss Milford. Hi, how are you? I'm good. Oh, my goodness. You're fantastic. All right, tell Mom goodbye. Gather your and let's head inside. All right, sweetie, you're going to walk in here. You're going to grab your breakfast if you need one, and you're going to head straight to class. Good morning. How are
If we notice that your child's temperature is higher than 100.4, this will be the protocol.
Oh, sweetie, your temperature is reading above 100.4. So we're going to, I know, Mama. So what we'll do is we're going to ask if you just pull forward, and we're going to wait about 10 minutes, and then we'll come and check it again. You might want to turn your car on and see if you can roll the windows down just a little bit to see if that'll kind of lower that temperature. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Good morning, Chansey Cardinals. Thank you.
Our students will be offered a grab-and-go breakfast as they enter the building, and they will eat that breakfast in their classrooms.
Fantastic. Take your breakfast and head on down to your classroom.
Our cardinal rules are posted all throughout the common areas of our building, and they just help remind students of our daily behavior expectations.
Good morning, friends.
Our teachers have worked hard to prepare their classrooms for our students' return. In order to ensure social distancing, all non-essential furniture has been removed, signs and markings have been placed on the floor and around the classroom, and student desks have been spaced apart to the greatest extent possible.
Do you see how I have my mask on? Can you put your mask just like this
Yes.
Keep us all safe.
A little mask reminder is always
So go
helpful.
ahead and tell me, what are some of our expectations?
The Chancey Cardinal rules are be safe, be responsible, and be respectful.
It's important to note that all classrooms will have plenty of personal protective equipment, otherwise known as PPE. Each room will have a PPE kit full of wipes, hand sanitizer, gloves, extra masks, and other items that help support the health needs of our students and staff.
Make sure when I call you, and remember, I'm going to call you one at a time, and stand on the first dot or the first X, okay? Miss Burton, would you please line up for me?
I'm so hungry, Miss Clark. I can't wait to eat lunch.
Yay, I'm hungry too. Excellent, Miss Burton. When we go out into the hall, boys and girls, we are either gonna walk on the Chancey Cardinals, or we're gonna walk on the C with the Chancey Cardinals. Remember to stay on your spot, and remember, it is walking feet, voices on what, friends?
Zero. Students will follow the floor stickers that are spaced 6 feet apart while traveling throughout the building. Social distancing will be enforced in all areas of our school. All of our restrooms are set up so that students are able to be spaced apart. Only a couple of students will be allowed in at a time. Restrooms will be stocked with supplies and sanitized regularly in order to ensure students' health and safety. All of our cafeteria tables and seats are numbered. The seats marked with a red X will remain empty. This will help to ensure social distancing while students are eating. Teachers will assign students to a table and a seat. Students will be expected to sit at their assigned table and seat every day. This system will help us with contact tracing should a COVID case arise. All classes will follow the recess schedule that has been created so that we can limit the number of classes on the playground at one time.
And we are now ready for Orange Bus Riders. Orange Bus Riders, please use your Chancey Cardinal walking feet, one behind the other. You are dismissed.
When it's time for dismissal, car riders will be called down to the gym by grade level. Walkers will exit the side of the building, and bus riders will stay in their rooms until their bus is called. Hopefully, this video will give you a better understanding of the preparations we have made to ensure the health and safety of our students and staff. We are committed to making this transition as smooth as possible. We can't wait to welcome some of our Cardinals back into the building. See you soon.
Thanks, Miss Frankel. That all credit goes to Miss Burton for that. She did an outstanding job making that video. She's a creative, awesome person. I am not. Nice job, Miss Burton. And nice job to all of those extra large children that participated and helped out with creating that video, being child actors and actresses. I appreciate that as well. Miss Tracy, the front office person, is texting some of you all answers to your questions. And if you don't have any other questions, I wish you all a wonderful evening. And I thank you all for joining us this evening. I want this to be as smooth of a transition as possible. We are taking all the precautions necessary to make sure that your children are well kept for and that they are educated in a safe environment. There really isn't any difference to us doing that. It's just now it's a little bit more strict in terms of our social distancing and mask wearing. So again, I thank you all for being here this evening and have a good night.
Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Chancey families.
Thank you, teachers, for being here.
Even the same thing for the 3rd through 5th grade. We will present the same information. All righty.
Have a good night, everybody.
Oh, I know these faces, some of them.
Hello, everyone.
I know these faces.
This is Chancey teachers and staff hanging out. This is not a party, a virtual party, friends.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here.
Oh, thank you all. You all did great. Thank you. Oh, okay. Bye.
Great job, Miss Ivory.
Recording.
Great job, Miss Ivory. Great job.
See you all.
I gotta stop recording.